Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of MotoGP 21 Career Mode. Now in today's episode we are off to Austria for the first of two races at this track on the calendar. Austria over the last couple of years has been dominated by Ducati. They've only ever been beaten there once, and that was by Miguel Oliveira on a KTM, and it was the last corner they were beaten by. So I do expect us to be very strong in Austria at Spielberg. It's a track I don't get on great with on this game. I always find it's a bit awkward on the GP bikes, but I do like the track overall, and our Ducati really is suited to it. It's a drag bike. We should really be strong there. Now, can't guarantee it, but that's what I'm hoping for. But just before we get into qualifying, I just did a bit of upgrading of my own bike. I put on a fuel economy one and a extra aero, just get that finished before the second round. But I just want to say a big thanks for all the support, and if at any point in the video you do like it, hit that like and subscribe down below to see more, and I should jump over now to qualifying. So we are just about to cross the line to start our one and only lap in Q2 for the Austria Grand Prix. Next week is the Spielberg Grand Prix, but this week they have to name them differently for each round because they have to have two different rounds even though it's at the same track. F1 is very similar. When they went to the same track twice, they had to have two different names. Bit odd, but all comes down to sponsors and all that. But we got through sector 1 and we are on a personal best. We are faster than anyone through sector 1. Currently on pole position, provisional pole, is Fabio Quartararo with a 1 minute 24.7. Now we make a huge mistake into turn 4, backing it completely in. Now the AI you can see are having a spaz on the timing screen there. You can see a lot of them are crashing. Not sure where exactly they were crashing. I did notice a lot of AI crashing in the penultimate corner, the double right, the first right they crash at. They were about to approach in a bit, but we're up at the moment by 0.6. So overall a pretty clean lap bar that mistake, so we should be on for pole. 0.7 as we come into last sector. This is a corner there that they've been crashing at, but no one down at the moment. Into the last corner, a touch wide, but we squared off and up to the line we come. It should be another pole position from Fabio, and it is an absolute obliterating. We are 1 second quicker than anyone else in the field. Now you mightn't have seen it there as I brushed over it quickly, but Pecco Bagnaia went with a soft. The recommended was a soft front medium rear. I went medium. Just that, like I've said before, the soft front will not give you much stability in braking, so I felt like a medium would be better for the duration of this race. The 10 lap race is a bit of a long one and it's a lot of heavy braking, so a soft front probably would overheat for me. But anyway, this is a Ducati track through and through. What can we do? Pole position, 5 red lights, and we are off. It's a decent initial getaway, but just about here you just see Fabio goes into the inside. He goes very aggressive and kabang, he punts me onto the green, over onto the red. Thankfully I didn't get a track limit warning, but that puts us down to P4, and Zarco on the Pramac just behind her has a look, but we just managed to cover him off. We go really aggressive on the brake. We go a bit to the outside and Miller is just in our way, so we decide to sit in and just cautiously approach turn 3 for lap 1. Now we are having a look at the inside of Miller. Zarco isn't an immediate threat, but again Miller goes quite defensive. We actually go around the outside, but can we get the move done? I don't believe so. Miller's just going to leave the brake off, but he's actually giving us a lot of room. He's on a hard front, which is it's not a surprise really. I can imagine it gives good stability, but I don't imagine through these long corners it would give us much front end feel, and Ducati inherently has a lack of front feel, I've noticed, so giving it extra hard time on the front is not what I usually like to do. But Pecco is nicely tucked up in behind Fabio. I have doubts over Pecco's race pace. I reckon in the last couple of laps, lap 8, 9, 10, he'll drop because of his tired decisions. A soft round here won't really work, I believe, for the whole race, but only time will tell. Come to the end of lap 1, down in P3. It's the first race in a while where we haven't been able to hold the lead off the line, and we got punted off by Fabio. The AI have been incredibly aggressive this season towards me. In Mugello I got punted off. In Sachsenring I got punted off. Le Mans I had a few issues with the AI, but all's fair. I don't mind it. I give it as much as I can take it, but we'll see further in the episode a bit more contact between me and my rivals. Miller making up a lot of time into the apex of turn 3, but I did go to medium rear in the race, medium as I said, but I hadn't used a medium all weekend, and just into this corner here, turn 4, I noticed I had a lack of rear grip under heavy braking and change direction. As you see the race going on through this turn 5-6 section here, the rear end is very loose. Now it was an issue in qualifying because I had softs in, and it gave me the extra grip to kind of control the slip and slide of the engine brake and stuff, but in the race it was a pretty difficult issue to manage, and the race pace of course from the front two guys was much better than I expected, especially from Quattararo on the Yamaha. He really outperformed what I imagined he could have done in this race. I kind of expected that Pecco on the softs would be able to do what he's doing currently in front of me, but we take a good bit of time out of him into turn 1. But that's what happens when we push a medium front. It just absolutely folded there, and we were lucky to save it on our knee. Big mistake. We get our first track limit warning of the race. We go really aggressive on Jack Miller, but we actually don't get it done. He leaves the brake off. We get punted up the back from Zarco, and that has dropped us back down to 5th momentarily, but we get back up into P4. A small bit of slipstream from our teammate Jack Miller. Now coming down into turn 4 once again, Ducati is just skipping across the bumps. It's not reacting well. The bike has potential around here, but it's not very easy to ride. It's very bumpy. It's not really riding the bumps well, so maybe a small setup change will be needed for the second of the Austria races. But currently Pecco and Fabio are checking out. Miller I reckon has the pace, but he just got held up a few times, so I'm currently sitting behind Miller, and if he can drag me towards our other teammate, I'll gladly just sit on his back wheel, but if I find I need to make the pass, I will force a move. Now I am being held up. You can see I'm pretty much on his back wheel, so as we come now to turn 1, I did have in my mind that I was going to go for it. So into the slipstream, just slide up the inside and just move across under braking, and that should be P3 done, and it's back into the podium positions we go. So nice move on Jack. He didn't fight it too much, thankfully. He knew I had better pace, and he is on the charge though, coming up into turn 3. We give him plenty of room, and again the AI sits me up big time there, and Zarco cuts underneath us, and that's back to P5. So every time we take a step forward, we get blown back by the AI and get pushed back in our spot, but we get great drive down to 4, and that has us back into P3. And just about get a stop now. We're going to have to get into a bit of a rhythm, because the AI seem to be very aggressive when it comes to overtaking, which is really upsetting my pace. So you see there again, just a rear end let go, big moment, runs it wide. I was surprised not to see Miller or Zarco show wheel into turn 6 when I went so wide. And 7 again, just nowhere near the apex. So the pace isn't great. The tyres are wearing a bit more than I want to, especially the rear tyre. I have a lack of rear grip under braking, which for such a heavy braking track and unstable rear was not nice to ride with. But we come in now to the final corner, about to start lap 5, half race distance. We're good on fuel. Tyre wear isn't overly too bad, but yeah. Fast forward now to lap 7. We're the fastest man on track. We drip down into the 23s and into turn 1 again. That's another mistake, another front end tuck, just pumps at the rear, and that pushes weight onto the front, and we're lucky. That's twice now we've saved it, but we're up to down to 3 track limits warnings. We have broken about 0.8 away from Miller. I can see, look at the lunge. I got him very hot into turn 3 that time around. Took a lot of time out, but we lost it all on the exit. Now I believe I am much stronger than the AI into turn 1 and into turn 3. Not so much into this corner. I believe I can brake later, but a lot of times the bike starts to skip and I just can't get it down to the apex, so I'm actually holding back a small bit through that corner. But maybe in the last few laps, if I need to make a move, I might be able to try it there as a last resort. Now the AI are pretty quick in the last sector, especially Fabio. That Yamaha just likes to turn a bit better than my Ducati, so I will struggle in the last sector to make an overtake if it comes to it. Hopefully we can catch them. We're still not on them yet. We're on a pretty decent lap. You can see Pecco has a look up the inside of Fabio, but doesn't get close enough. He's lining him up. He's been on his back wheel again all race, just like in previous races. Bagnaia is just sitting on the back wheel of his opponent. He looks like he's struggling to overtake. It's funny, when he's behind me, he doesn't have any issues. He just leaves the brake off and uses me as the berm. But we make a good chunk of time up into turn 1. Nice exit. Just getting on the back wheel, back brake, just to manage the wheelie as we power up now to turn 3. 3 laps remaining. And you can just see we take a nice Scandinavian flick, a bit like Jack Miller does in real life. And that scrubs a lot of speed off. And now we're in a bit of a rhythm. The gap is coming down. We're feeling good now. The bike is starting to feel a bit better. Starting to slide around more, but the loss of grip is a bit more expected and precise, other than sudden, where early in the race I just snapped and I lost the grip, whereas now it just slides out gently, which is much nicer to ride. It's more predictable and you can actually place the bike a bit better. But it looks like Fabio was just pulling away from Pecco ever so slightly at the moment. There's a bit of a gap that I'd like to fill, so I'm going to try my best to get Pecco by the end of this lap. I'm considering now trying to get a good drive through turn 8 and line him up into 9, but I go a touch wide and he just slightly stays in the middle track, goes defensive. Very good defensive racing there from Pecco. Valentino would be proud. And again into the last corner, not really a move there that you want to be trying. You want to be a lot closer to leave that off in the last corner. But we start the penultimate lap, we go to the outside. We actually brake quite much later than him. He kind of forces us out, but that is another track limits warning. So he tried an audacious move around the outside into 1, and he squeezed us small, but he has a look at us, a cheeky look, thinking what are we doing. But we just absolutely go for it up into turn 3, match him on the brake and just leave the brake off a touch. He can't take his line, we pick it up. Fortunately we get a wheelie, drift into his line, force him onto the curb, but nothing we could do about it. So now we have a lap and a half remaining. Fabio is 0.5, 0.4 ahead of me, and we take a lot of time out of him into turn 4. I did brake especially late that time, and then again using all of my rear grip. You can see Pecco's dropped immediately off the back of me, so I reckon his softs are finished. That's his race done. It's down to me and Fabio Quartararo. Now I'm on for race lap record pace at the moment, so we're flying it, but I also need to remember I do have the extra track limit warning, so if I get one more it's a 3-second penalty and that will ruin it. We get great drive up against the Yamaha into the final sector, but again he just goes slightly defensive. We don't even challenge him, but he's a touch wide. We take a bit of curb, not really what you want to do. Have a look into the last corner. If that was the last lap, I may have been able to do it. I did try that exact move last year on Frankie Morbidelli. Unfortunately couldn't get it pulled down, but we come in now to turn 1, brake a bit later on the outside as we come to the braking, and once again the AI just nudged me out. I broke nice and late. I didn't tip in, he just romped the back of me and forced me right, so we've lost half a second, 6/10 there. Gonna have to work really hard on this last lap once again. Another extra hard last lap, and again look at the time we took over him there. Again, get a great exit, just the front wheel hovering across the ground just the way you want it. Took 3/10 out of him, even more in that sector alone. Now we come to turn 4. Once again we just shadow him, just show him front wheel. He's making a mistake, he's braking much later than he should have, and he's gone wide. We take back the lead for a split second. He is definitely going to fight back, and I knew through these fast corners here we take a nice slow exit, but he pops up the inside, drifts into our line. We cut back. I wanted to try and stick it up the inside into this left-hander, but he just closes the door. So now Marquez, Davi, we have to do it in the last 2 corners. We square him off to see can we get him into the penultimate corner. Go past him, we just drift across him, be a bit dirty like he's done to us, and he's had a massive moment and he's actually crashed. He's gone over the bars, a bit like Aleix Espargaro. Don't know exactly what happened there. I don't know if it was the fact that I was so close to him or what, but that doesn't matter now. Across the line we come. It's going to be Ducati Factory 1, 2, 3. Once again, another victory. We are dominating this championship. So my fast lap was robbed, and I don't actually remember. I think it was Paul Espargaro, I think, takes it On the Honda, he absolutely obliterates it just there into 23.5. That's a serious lap time. And yeah, again, it's nearly one part of the video now where I check what the fastest lap is. 46 points to Pecco, 80 to Jack Miller, 260 back to Suzuki. We are wiping the floor, and it's over 100 back to Yamaha. Another podium, another fantastic result in Austria. So it is time to check on the Moto 2. Dom again, good result, and Rizal get in with another pole position, another win. He is doing the bits in Moto 3. At this rate, we could end up with a decent teams championship in Moto 2, a teams and a world riders championship in Moto 3, and we could sweep the floor across the board in MotoGP at the moment. We are riding so well. The Ducati's working well. We are getting another upgrade for the second race in Austria of, I think it's one of the electronic ones, but I am going to leave it there for today. I hope you have enjoyed today's episode as much as me. If you have, drop a like down below and subscribe to see more content on the channel. But once again, thank you all for the support, and I shall catch you in the next one.